everybody, I'm Sean and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to show you how I create this key fob, keychain, however you want to call it, using my Tajima Sai 8 needle embroidery machine. And let's get started. Okay, so for this project, I'm going to be using 2 pieces of cutaway stabilizer. This is a medium weight. And then I'm also going to be using my 9x6 mighty hoop. This is the number, or the, I hope that focuses, just so you can see exactly what the numbers is. It's 9x6, not 6x9. Okay, so this is the one that I'm using. I'm going to go ahead and hoop this stabilizer. Makes it really easy. And I'm also going to be using some nylon webbing. This is 1-inch webbing that I have cut at 12 inches long, okay? And that way, when it's folded over and the hardware is applied, you'll have about 5.5 inches so that you'll be able to put your hand in or do whatever you want with it. Then, of course, we have to have the hardware. This is some key fob hardware that I got off of Amazon, and you could get multi-packs of like 10, 20, 50, 100. I'm going to be using this tool that I bought years ago off of Etsy. The shop that I bought it from is no longer in business. I bought this in like maybe 2016 or 2017. And the reason that I have the fleece around it is because when I would use it to press down to close the key fob hardware, it would leave these real weird indentations. So I realized that if I just covered it up, it wouldn't be as bad. And or actually it doesn't, you know, leave a whole lot of indentations. It makes the press down a lot more smoother. I think there was supposed to have been like a rubber bumper or something on there, but I don't know. So it works, and I use it. I do have a lighter here because with the webbing, you'll see that you'll want to singe the ends, I do anyways, or glue the ends so that they don't unravel. You see, when you first cut it, well, did I already burn that one? I may have already burned that. But anyways, you know, I didn't. It shreds. So when you first cut it, it will be shreddable. And so I burn the ends so that it melts, and that way it won't be unraveling on you. And just in case you're wondering what type of webbing I'm using, this is all the same brand, just different colors. I got it from Amazon, and I will leave a link down in the description, okay? So we're gonna go to the machine and we're gonna get this project started. Okay, so we're over at the machine, and I have the design uploaded to the machine, and the only thing I don't have are my stops added. I've already assigned the colors, and they're going to be pretty random, and I am going to just hit the color step number 1 and hit the stop sign afterwards, because I want to make sure that after step number 1, which is going to give me that placement stitch around the word Daisy May, I want to make sure that it stops so that I can then put the webbing down, secure it, and continue stitching. But before I go any further, I do want to show you all how I use Embrilliance to create that placement line. Okay, friends, so this is my desktop, and this is how my initial setup looks when it's done and ready to go to the embroidery machine for the wristlets. Now, I'm going to delete this just so I can start over and show you exactly what I do. Now, I do use Stitch Artist. I have level 3. I'm sure you could probably do this in level 1, but all I do is I go up here and I get a horizontal rectangle and pull it in. And each one of these squares is 1 inch. So I just set it up so that it's a little bit over 1 inch as far as the width, like long, not long-wise, yeah, width. And then the length, I just pull it out so that it is just at 6 inches. And then I convert it, of course, to a stitch, and I just make it a a single line running stitch because I'm not using that as part of the design, but just so that I can use it for placement. And then I do want to make sure that it's centered. And so I'll put right there in the center. And then when I go to put in letters as far as the name or whatnot, I just go up here to this little A for the create letters. Then this box opens up down here on your right-hand side. I erase the ABC and I will type in Daisy. Okay. And so with it being at this point, you can just do a left click. No, it's a right click and convert to stitches. And that will convert it to stitches. But before I do that, I want to go in and I want to change the colors of each letter, because if I do it just with everything being that purple color, it'll all run in as one color and I won't be able to have the different, colors. So I'm going to select the D so that only the D is highlighted. Then I come over here to my property side, and under the colors, I'm going to select that color. I don't want it to stay lilac. I'm going to change it to pink rose. And then I'm going to do the same thing with each letter, making sure that the letter I want to change the color of is actually the only one that's highlighted or selected. And I'll change that to, let's do green. And then I'll change the I to, how about a darker color so that we can see the different colors. Okay. And notice when I first click the S, everything highlights. That's, if you do the color change with everything being selected like that, you're going to end up changing the color for everything. So you want to make sure that after everything looks like it's selected, you go back, hit that little green box, and then just the letter is selected that you want selected. So now my S is selected, and I'm going to change that S to a different color, and we'll change it to that blue. And I'll go ahead and leave the Y as purple or lilac because it's a different color. And essentially, when you get to your machine, you're going to make the colors whatever color you want. You don't have to have pink, green, dark blue, light blue, purple. You make those colors whatever color you want. My point for making all of the colors different is just so that I can have those stops or those color changes in place. On a single needle, it's gonna stop after every color because you've got to change that thread. On a multi-needle, you'll be able to put a stop in after, no, you don't put a stop in, goodness gracious. With a multi-needle, you're just selecting the colors for each one because it'll automatically show. But before I can save this to my flash drive, I want to right click on it and then hit convert to stitches, and it turns all of them to stitches. And then you'll see over here, now you've got two different designs. I combine those designs. And so to do this, I go to create, no, I'm going to utility, color sort, and it says that the design has been sorted but not reduced, which is a good thing. So that means none of the colors have been merged because we have all different colors for every aspect, which is what we want here. So I'm going to hit view, new view, so I can see it. It gave me a 4x4 hoop again. I'm going to change that hoop to a 5x7, hit apply. I need to rotate it, and then I'm going to hit OK. And so now we have our design the way we want it. And over here on the right-hand side under the objects panel, you can see that it is just one design now. And so when you open up that design, you'll see that you've got your block, which is, if you are doing a multi-needle, that is the point where you'll put a stop after that so that you could line your 1-inch webbing up into that box and then continue stitching. And if you're on a single needle, of course, you're still going to line your webbing up into that box and continue stitching, and it will give you the stops after each one if you want to change colors. If you don't want to have every letter be in a different color, simply keep it all one color, and that'll save you some time, especially with a single needle. So that is how I set it up. I just save it to my flash drive, and I'm going to take it over to the machine so it can be stitched out. Alrighty, so now we're going to hit set so we can advance it. I'm going to leave it on tubular 1 because that's the biggest the biggest frame, and so I'm going to hit set again. Now, one thing I do have to do with this design is get it turned sideways because it's 6 inches going this way, and that is going to be way too long for the width of the mighty hoops. Okay, so this casing, the needles will hit if I try to go 6 inches this way. I've got to turn it sideways. So to turn it sideways, there is a tulip or a flower that has a 90-degree going like halfway, or whichever way you want it to go. Not the one that's upside down, but it's a sideways flower here. So I'm going to hit that, and so with it going sideways with the first button, the D is going to be at the bottom for Daisy when it stitches out. And so I want to do it the other way and hit the other flower because I want the D to go up at the top. That way the excess webbing can hang off of the frame without it being facing the machine. Okay, so now I'm going to hit set. I am going to trace from off of the center. And now it says tracing is executed, and it's going to go through and trace my stitch field so that it'll show me where all the design is going to be stitching. And it's got that little red laser light in there so that you can actually see if you're going to be out of bounds or not. Alrighty, so that all looks good. I am going to go ahead and hit start so that we can start stitching. And of course, something weird happens. Let's see here. I'm going to hit reset and cut. You know what? My thread is sideways up in the thing. So that tells me that it must have gotten caught on something. Can you see how the black thread is kind of tilted sideways? Not sure if you could tell or not. So I'm going to straighten that up, pull the thread all the way back through, and see if we could get this stitching correctly through the end. See here, I don't know if I'll need scissors, but I'll sit them there, and I'm just going to make sure that no thread is actually under the spool. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this through. And I do want to double check and look just to make sure everything is threaded correctly. Okay. Because sometimes the thread will get off track, and that'll cause some weird things to happen with your machine too. So everything looks good. I'm going to clip it right there and rethread it. Sometimes rethreading it takes a little longer than I like, but okay. So I want to pull some of the thread through a little bit, and then I'm going to hit those scissors again just to make sure that the thread cuts, and I'll get rid of this extra thread that's in there. And so it already stitched 18 stitches, but there's nothing on the stabilizer. So I'm going to hit the back stitch buttons, 18 stitches. So I'll go back 10, and then it will only go back 1 at a time if it's less than 10. Okay, so now we're back at the beginning, and we're going to try this again. Alrighty, so that is the placement line. I am going to take this off of the machine, and you see there's the placement line there. Guess I could turn my light back on. Goodness gracious. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the table and show you how I use painter's tape so that you could tape this down to the side. Now, I know that some people like to use a sticky stabilizer. Personally, I just don't like sticky stabilizer, so this is how I do it. But if sticky stabilizer works better for you, that will save you a step, because then you're just literally laying the webbing down on top of the sticky stabilizer and it's not going to shift. But because I'm just using tearaway, I do have to secure it so that it doesn't shift and come off. So let's go back to the table real quick. Okay, so remember when I said that I want Daisy to stitch from the top and I want this to hang off from the bottom? I want to make sure that this is the part that sticks out to me, right? So I'm going to have it like this. So it's going to hang off, okay? And so now the actual embroidery for the word Daisy, Daisy May, is going to be within the box, but it's not right on the ends, because for one, that's where the hardware is going to go, and that gives me a place to tape this down, okay? And so I'm going to use some painter's tape and try to keep this lined up. I'm going to tape that down there. And then I'm also going to tape down here as well, okay? And I don't know where my thinner strips of, the thinner rolls of painter's tape is. So I've got to use the wide stuff today, okay? But that will keep it from shifting. And so now we're going to take this back to the machine and finish our job. Okay, we're back to the machine, and because there was a program stop, I do have to hit the reset button on this green screen. So I'll hit reset and she is ready to go again. And I did start that tape a little too in, but I think I just missed stitching over it. We'll just let this continue to stitch. The total stitch count is only 2,679, so it really does not take a long time for this to stitch out. And it might have been just a few seconds faster if it was all one color, but I wanted to keep it as different colors because, I don't know, I just wanted it a bunch of different colors. And I'll tell you one thing that will be contradictory. I'm gonna hit the stop button real quick because I really wasn't thinking this out with the colors. Let me hit the light so there's no glare. But for color number 7, it's going to be 5, which is black. I don't want to stitch black thread on top of the black webbing, right? So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that color, but I'm not going to start all over. I'm going to just stop right here. I'm going to hit these buttons with these little needles, and that will allow me to go back through. I'm going to scroll down using this arrow with a P in it, page down. Number 5, I'm going to change that to, let's see here, let's go with 8. We'll change that to green. So now did I say number 5? Oh my goodness. Number 8 is going to be Number 7 is going to be number 8. I'm sorry. Sometimes just talking about numbers all day just confuse me, but we're going to be green instead of black. And so now that makes better sense as far as the colors. I don't know why I selected black, just selecting random colors, but we're ready. We're going to hit set and we're going to pick right back up where we left off at. Okay. I hope I didn't confuse you too much with that one. But I was just looking and I was thinking like, no, I don't want black on black. That blue is gonna be light enough. Yeah, that'll be light enough. I was thinking I still had dark blue up there, but it's okay. And so now if you have a Tajima Sai, you know how to stop the project and change your thread colors without actually having to start all over again. And that painter's tape is doing a pretty good job at keeping the webbing in place. Almost done. We've got 2 more letters left. Alrighty, so it is all stitched up and let's take her off the machine so you can get a close-up. Now, this is colorful and I'll tell you, I noticed when the white had started stitching that it had a loop right here. So I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, okay, you can see that loop right there that came up when the thread first started. I'm gonna show you a little trick or a little tool that I have that will help you get rid of those loops when they randomly pop up like that. Because this isn't a matter of the tension, this is a matter of the thread or something being wonky when it first got started. So I'll show you what I do to fix it when stuff like that happens. Okay, so we're back over at the table, and remember I was saying that this little loop right here, I've got something that I use to pull them through. This little thing, it's called a nabbit or something, a nibbit, nabbit, something like that. But I basically put it through the loop and then I just stick it and push it all the way through and pull it through to the other end, okay? So it's kind of hard to do on camera trying to show you, but it pulls it through. And sometimes it doesn't pull it all the way through the first time, and then you would just do it over again. But that is the little tool that I use to push those little loops through when they come through randomly. Okay, so now I've got to take this off of the hoop. And I'm just going to yank this off here. And you still have your box there. I'm going to sit that to the side. Definitely go through and take the excess stabilizer or the stabilizer that's stuck to the back off, but we'll do that later, okay? The next step that I'm going to do is fold this in half, and I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch right along the top here, and that way when it's all stitched I could put the hardware on. And it's just me. I don't know that you have to do it, but this is the way I've always made key fobs. I've always stitched them closed. If you don't sew with the sewing machine, I can't tell you that glue would work. It might, but I just like to know that the two pieces are secure and then they're going to be anchored into the appliance and not be shifting or pulling apart. So I'm just going to go to the sewing machine and run a quick stitch across that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so you can see, because I used dark blue thread, that I did run a stitch across the top just to secure the two pieces together. And I'm going to just trim that extra thread off of it, just because we don't need that extra thread hanging. And now I'm going to use the little key fob tool, the key fob hardware. I'm going to put it in here with the little open areas, which has the little teeth sticking out from the other side. It kind of goes in, and essentially it's going to grab down and push itself into the fabric. So I'm going to hope that you can see this. Let's see here. Okay, I am going to put this on here, and I'm going to use the device to clamp it down. And the trick is getting it to sit straight. And this is 1-inch hardware as well, okay? 1-inch webbing, 1-inch hardware. And the hardware came with a little keychain loop on it. We're just gonna mash it down. Okay, and so it's secured down in there, and you've got a key fob. All right, so I had to pause real quick and clear some memory off of my camera, but this is the finished product. It's not too shabby. It works. I did not get all the extra stabilizer out of there, but you definitely want to do that before you present it to someone. And I have a fairly big hand, so it's good spacing in there. Okay, so that is all I have for you all. Trying to see if it looks straight. It does look straight at certain angles, and then at certain angles it looks crooked. But anyways, that is all I have for you guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you in the next one. But until then, you all take care of yourselves, okay?